Are you thinking about starting a business or you're a young, budding entrepreneur? I've got 3 do's and 3 don'ts for you today. So let's dig in. First do, I want to make sure you are researching your ideas. When I was starting my very first business, I had, and I'm not joking, like a notebook that was probably full of like 20 or 30 different business ideas. So it took a little time for me to filter through them and really figure out, was there an actual business there and could I make some money there? So I do want you to spend some time digging into your ideas, looking online and asking real people who are in the field or the industry that you'd like to get into what to know about that industry and what it's like to get in there. I'm going to give you one example. I thought at one point that I wanted to be a yoga teacher. Now I'm going to tell you I did end up doing that. But at the time, I was working a corporate job and I was thinking this looks like a great career. And I remember asking the teacher, tell me about how you got into this and, what's it like? And at some point I asked her, and perhaps offensively so, do you make good money at this? And she's like, oh no, you can't make a living out of this. Now, against my better advice, later on, I ended up getting my yoga certification and I realized precisely what she's saying. It was damn near impossible to make a full-time living in the type of living I wanted to make being a yoga teacher alone. I would have had to have added other things to make it work, which is what I ended up doing. I don't teach yoga much anymore. So just a point of reference. Make sure you're researching your ideas. Okay, number 2, this is another do. I want you to validate your idea. Now, some of you are going to automatically want to reject this, but I want to tell you what it is first and then how to think about it. Validating basically means we want to ask people, will you buy this thing? If this is what it costs, if this is what it is, would you buy it? We are looking for them to say yes. Doesn't mean that we have to ask them for their money at that moment, but we're really looking for yeses, verbal yeses. This is your MVP, your minimal viable product, right? We want to know. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they build it and then they think that the audience will be there. And one of the biggest places I see this is in courses, online courses. Lots of people say, I'm going to build this online course, and it takes them months to build it and they get the whole thing set up and then crickets. Nobody's buying. Why? Because we didn't validate that people actually wanted to buy it, or and this is going to get to the next point, you didn't yet have an audience. So I want you to validate your idea. Make sure you got some yeses before you launch it and really move quickly. Get that thing to market and let's get some yeses fast. Number 3, this is your other do, build an audience. Now, we are in a current time in our world where social media is the primary platform that many of us are engaging with our audiences. And I want you to leverage that. Use social media, follow the trends and see where it's going and really fish where the fish are, which means know your audience. If your audience is on TikTok, I want you to be on TikTok. If your audience is on YouTube, I want you to be on YouTube. And this is the other important part of this do. I also want you to be building your own assets, your own marketing assets, which is going to include your website and your email list. So it is really important that you have some things that you own. And remember, you don't own your social media platforms. Not too long ago, we were all told that TikTok was going to go away. Remember when that happened? And some of you freaked the shit out. Understandably, because if you were putting all of your efforts in that basket, you had no fallback plan. Right? So I want to make sure that you build your own website and your own email list, because those are assets that you in fact hold and they are yours forever. Okay, let's talk about the don'ts, and I've got 3 for you. The first one is make sure you don't spend a ton of money, especially in your first year, on your website. There are so many really good tools that you can use to build a website, and what I recommend is Squarespace. You can get a template that is beautiful. You can alter the colors, the color palette, the fonts, everything, and you can get that website stood up in a day. I do not want you going out and hiring a web designer to design some fancy website before you've really figured out what your business model is, because I can assure you, your business will change and evolve, especially during your first 1 to 2 years, and you will change and evolve, and you'll be like, oh God. So I can tell you this because I've done it a billion times. With all the businesses I've started, I can tell you where I started with the brand is not where I am with the brand right now. Save your money. Build your own website or get somebody to help you out, but use something like Squarespace or Shopify if you're doing products. Okay, next up in our don'ts, I don't want you to be afraid to be a newbie. I think a lot of people go into this thinking, oh, I need to know everything. I need to act like I have everything figured out. And that is not true. In fact, one of the biggest assets you have when you're new is that you are new. So you can walk into a room of people and be like, I just started my business. And people are going to be actually excited for you and they're going to want to support you. You don't get that window of time forever. So don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to act like you're further along or need to act like you have all the answers. It is a-okay to be a newbie. And in fact, in many cases, it's actually going to work harder for you. And the last thing in our don'ts, don't give up too soon. It can be really challenging in your first year of business, especially when you're trying to make sales and you're trying to figure out if you're going to be able to make a living out of this thing that you've chosen to now do. Don't make the mistake of giving up before the people come. Often it will take time to develop your audience, to get out there, to connect with people, and brand building takes time, period. So I want you to make sure that you're persistent and consistent and you get out there and you keep doing the thing. Keep promoting your business, keep promoting yourself. And even when people aren't coming, you keep doing it because that's the part that you can control. The thing you never control is when a client or customer says yes. That's their problem, not yours. Yours, market and promote like a freaking champ. I'm going to leave you with one last tidbit. When I was starting my very first business, I was leaving a corporate job. At the time I was living in Chicago. I remember having a phone conversation with my dad and I said something to him about being like really freaked out and really scared of making the move. And he said something that has stuck with me ever since. And I share this bit of advice. He says, at some point, Hillary, you're just going to have to take the leap. I'm saying this to you. At some point, you're just going to have to take the leap. And when we say leap, we mean it's a leap of faith. We don't know precisely if it's going to work out, but you will only ever know if you take the chance whether it will. You've got to take that chance. So get out there. If that dream is in your heart, I encourage you to go do it. See what happens. You never know. It could be a wild success, and I hope that it is. All right. If you have any questions about business, hit me up. Like, subscribe, review, all the things that help this channel be seen by more people. All right. Thank you. Cheers.